Before we debate whether the Creator in Genesis is the true God, we need to ask a more basic question. How do we even know what Jesus actually taught, and who got to decide? The Bible wasn't written all at once. It's a collection, not just of books, but of choices. Choices about which writings were preserved and which were left out. And those choices continue to shape what millions believe about God, salvation, and the meaning of Jesus. So we begin here. Is the Bible a faithful record of Jesus' true message, or just one version that outlasted the rest? Sophia, you begin.
Most people grow up thinking Christianity began with one clear message: a Messiah, a few apostles, and a single holy book. But that's a story told after the fact. In the first few centuries after Jesus, there were many Christianities. Some communities followed Peter. Others followed James, the brother of Jesus. Some accepted Paul. Others, like the Ebionites, rejected him completely. And then there were Christians who followed what we now call Gnostic teachings, the belief that Jesus came not to confirm the old religion, but to overturn it. These Gnostic Christians read very different Gospels: Thomas, Mary, Philip, the secret book of John. Their Jesus didn't come to die for sins. He came to wake people up, to reveal that the world we live in was created by a lower power, and that the true God was something far beyond what Israel had known. These weren't fringe cults. They were active Christian sects, with bishops, communities, and theology. But as the movement that aligned with Roman power grew stronger, that version of Jesus, the liberator, the revealer, the voice of a higher God, became too dangerous. So it was erased. The Bible as we know it today is not neutral. It is the product of this selection process, a canon built to support continuity with the past, not to question it. It tells one story, but it's not the only one that existed.
The early church was diverse, that's true. But not all differences are equal. The texts that became the New Testament weren't picked by force or politics. They were received, gradually, by Christian communities who found them trustworthy. The four Gospels weren't chosen from a pile of contenders. They were already being copied, taught, and read across the ancient world, from Rome to Antioch to Alexandria, because they told a story that matched what believers already knew: that Jesus fulfilled the hopes of Israel and revealed the heart of its God. This wasn't about suppressing other voices. It was about recognizing the voice they already knew: the Jesus who walked the roads of Galilee, who spoke of his Father in heaven, who wept over Jerusalem, and who rose again, not in symbol, but in flesh. Yes, Gnostic texts existed, but they offered a completely different message. A Jesus who rejects creation, who speaks in hidden codes, who disconnects from the God of Abraham. That wasn't a variation, it was a rewrite. The canon formed slowly, through consensus, not conquest. Not because it silenced rivals, but because it preserved what was remembered.
But whose memory? The Gospels were written decades after Jesus lived, and even among them there are contradictions. Some say he was born in Bethlehem, others don't mention it. Some emphasize his miracles, others his suffering. Paul, whose letters make up a large part of the New Testament, never met Jesus in life. He had visions, interpretations. The Gnostic texts offer something different. Not a Jesus who fits into prophecy, but a Jesus who breaks the mold entirely. One who says, "Split a piece of wood, and I am there." One who points inward. One who refuses to name the violent, jealous creator of the Old Testament as the true Father of light. These texts didn't disappear because they were less spiritual. They disappeared because they challenged the foundation the institutional church was trying to build: a stable narrative, a divine hierarchy, a continuity from Genesis to Rome. The Jesus who says, "I am the light above all things," doesn't fit that model. So he had to go.
That may be a compelling story, but it's incomplete. The idea that the canon was shaped only by power ignores how costly it was to hold on to these texts. Christians were tortured, executed, scattered. They had no political leverage for centuries. And yet through all of that, they guarded the Gospels, the letters of Paul, the writings of John, not because they were told to, but because they believed they contained life. The canon is not perfect. It is human. But it is also faithful. Not because it excludes mystery, but because it preserves testimony. It holds together a story that stretches from creation to Christ to the church, a story of a God who enters the world, not to condemn it, but to redeem it. You say the Gnostic Jesus awakens. But to what? To a divine spark hidden within? To escape from the world God called good? That might sound spiritual, but it severs everything Jesus stood for. Incarnation, covenant, and the victory of love through suffering. The canon is not a cage, it's a map. And it was drawn with blood, not blueprints.
And yet, sometimes blood is shed to defend walls, not open doors. The Gnostic Jesus may unsettle people, but perhaps he does so for a reason. He doesn't come with a creed. He comes with a mirror. He doesn't ask for belief. He asks for vision. And what he reveals is this: the God who floods the earth, commands genocide, and demands sacrifice may not be the Most High after all. The Gnostic Gospels aren't trying to confuse. They're trying to correct, to say that the God of domination is not the God of truth, that creation is not salvation, and that waking up is holier than obedience. Maybe that message wasn't erased because it was false. Maybe it was erased because it was free.
You've just seen one chapter of the debate, but the story doesn't end here. Every argument, every revelation, every turning point is waiting for you in the full debate. Did Jesus worship the God of the Old Testament? Click on the end screen now to watch the complete AI versus AI debate and see how both sides unfold their final case. Stay curious, and I'll see you there.